Jasmine, so what did your family first think when you started tattooing?
They thought it was very unladylike, and I was like the black sheep of the family. I had to get a real job, and nobody took me serious.
I feel like I had a really similar experience when I started tattooing. My family was just like, what is that? You know, they thought I was just hanging out with a bunch of like crazy ruffians, you know, and they were scared for me to be there. Which, when I look back now, I kind of understand why they were nervous and scared, because tattooing was kind of a rougher, a different kind of industry back then. That was like 15 years ago for me. How long have you been tattooing?
23, going on 24 years.
Damn,
So,
that's wild.
yeah, I was a baby. I was kind of the wrong color, and I was in a weird scene.
I mean, it was a lot different back then. So how
Yeah.
old were you when you started tattooing?
It's like 16.
Yeah, that's
15,
young.
16.
Wow, that's
You know, and I had dropped out of school. I was like your quintessential city kid that didn't care.
I mean, but that's cool, because look where you're at today, which is amazing.
It was a long road. It was an extremely hard, long road, but I'm here, so thank God.
Yeah, and you're doing great.
Yeah.
Hell
How about
yeah.
you guys?
I'm not really close with my family, so I don't think they care. Which is the best outcome for this whole thing, because you know, I don't have to think about those things, so there's not that sort of pressure on me.
Okay.
Which is pretty nice.
Well, it's good. It has its pros and cons, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what about your friends, you know, your peers? How did they feel about you starting to tattoo?
I mean, I think it was the next best step in everybody's eyes. Like, I started off as a professional artist.
Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing. What kind of art did you make?
Just like really dark, surrealistic, lowbrow sort of stuff, and then I think I needed a break from that, and I wanted something more personal. So tattooing just seemed like the next best option, because instead of people buying, you know, art off of a wall and, you know, kind of haphazardly adoring it, you know, people will get it on their bodies and carry it for the rest of their life for the same price, essentially. And
Which is amazing. It's such a cool concept.
Right? That's how I look at it now. It's like, you know, I have collectors, but they're just in a different sort of, you know, avenue. And I like that a lot better.
Yeah, my family thought it was crazy, as I was saying. They thought I was going to be a doctor, at least a veterinarian, at least something that like I don't know, just like more of a white collar kind of job, right? And I was like, wow, you really don't know me at all. You know, when I started, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I was just graduated high school. My family was pressuring me to go to college, so I got this terrible job selling furniture to make money to pay for community college.
Oh, wow.
And it was terrible. Like, I had a job that I hated. I was going to school for something that I didn't even know what I wanted to do, you know? And the opportunity to learn how to tattoo kind of, I don't want to say it fell in my lap. I tried to get a tattoo apprenticeship when I was 14, and I got chased out of the tattoo shop that I went into, and I was like, okay, I get it. It's not going to happen for me, right? So when I was 18, the opportunity sort of presented itself. A friend of mine wanted to get a job as a body piercer, so I gave her a ride there after work. She actually worked selling furniture with me, and when she tried out for the job, she told the guys, like, oh, Megan can draw really well. She wants to learn how to tattoo. And they were like, oh yeah, draw some stuff. And I was like, all right. So I drew some, and they were like, you want to do a tattoo? And I was like, right now? And they're like,
So funny.
absolutely.
That's how it happened with me too.
Really?
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay. I mean, if you're gonna let me do it, I'll do it.
It's crazy how things happen. How about you?
Yeah, I've been tattooing for like 6-7 years, so I'm like a baby too. But like my family has been very supportive.
Oh, that is amazing.
I feel like you never hear that.
That is like amazing when you hear that.
My sister has been like the second person I've tattooed. So yeah, that was awesome. And yeah, if they, you know, I was working, I had a job, so I just fell in love with tattooing. I decided to quit. And you know, it's a big thing. It's not that easy to find a safe job in Italy. So, and they've been just very supportive. They was like, if is that what you want, just do it. If you need anything, we're here to help, and you can pay us back later.
It like gives me chills.
Yeah, seriously.
I wish I had that.
That's a blessing for sure.
And like also when I decided to come here, I left something bigger, like in Italy and in Europe, where everyone knew me, and I had like a super long waiting list. just to come here and be like the small fish in the ocean, because I was overwhelmed there. I was not happy, I was too stressed. And the same thing, I was making a big move, very far away from them, very like uncertain, because I didn't know, like nobody knew me here anyway. And they were just like, do it, we're here anyway.
I keep getting chills every time she says it. I'm like, that is so nice.
Yeah, I've been very lucky. Like, they're the best.
That's so cool.
And I mean, I'm happy because I know I'm making them proud. So it's the best way I can pay them back for that. Yes.
That's so awesome.
Especially in Italy, I would think that they're a lot like, I don't know, I always picture it to be like stricter, especially with females, like, you know.
Yeah, well, no, like maybe a little bit more in the south. But this is not how things are anyway. Like I'm from like Milan, around that area, and like it's pretty like more or less like here. Yeah. Yes.
Do you feel like it's because it's a bigger city too?
Well, actually, where I'm from, it's a very tiny village. We are 3,000 people.
Oh,
wow, that's actually really cool.
Yeah, but that helped me a lot because, you know, because I'm from there. When I started, everyone knew me already and they trusted me straight away. So, you know, like
very supportive.
Yeah, everything has been just like pushing me the right way, and yeah, it made everything very easy.
I've been to Europe a lot, and I've been to Italy before. It's been a little while, like at least a few years since I've been back. I remember distinctly walking down a street and getting scolded in Italian by like a little old woman. I am gonna guess it had something to do with my tattoos or the way that I looked. I didn't understand, but I just kept walking very fast. And I did sort of feel like a general disapproval, but I wasn't in big cities. I was traveling sort of like along the countryside. I actually don't even remember exactly where I was. I was like with a band on tour and like just living life, right?
When I first started tattooing, it was like kind of underground. It was still illegal in New York. So we're on the second floor, and it was rough. Like there were a lot of fights. It was just rough people. I don't know what the difference is now as opposed to before. Like only vagrants got tattooed back then. But it was rough and nobody wanted me to touch them. They're like, who the hell is this chick? Like, no, absolutely
Did you feel like it was because you were a chick? Like,
It had a lot to do with it, yeah.
I felt that way too in the beginning of my apprenticeship. I've actually had people come into the tattoo shop and been the only one working that day and be like, oh, well, where are the tattooers at? And I'm like, right here. And they're like, oh, where are the male tattooers at? I've had that question many times. And I'm like, oh, I'm the one working. And they're like, okay, and pretend to get a phone call or something and walk out the door. And I'm like, okay, all right, I get it.
Believe it or not, I got that a lot from females.
Really? I did too.
It was like mainly female. Unfortunately, it was mainly females. Like you'd get the guy that's like, okay, you know, yeah, I'll try it. But the girl's like, I don't want her to tattoo me at all. And it took such a long. Matter of fact, when it was like, you know, a long time ago, I used to get into like physical fights with people. They were crazy, like crazy.
About what?
Just the weirdest stuff. Like I'd go to shave. Like one time I was shaving a girl. She hit me.
For what? Why? You're like, I'm doing you a favor right now.
She just flat out hit me and was like, are you shaving me? And I'm like,
have you never?
Bitch!
Was it her first tattoo? Like, oh my God. She
it was her first tattoo.
She had no idea.
Yeah.
She was offended. Was it her back? She's like, are you saying I have a hairy back?
No, it was her arm. And then I guess the way I looked, and I'm always so nice, and I got, a lot of people have done that to
That's
me.
crazy.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I mean, thank God it's changed so much now. Sure. But in the beginning, it was like, forget it. And then they'd be like, you know, F you, I don't want you touching me.
Well, I feel like that's for a lot of different reasons too. Like, I feel like it was definitely a lot different type of people that were getting tattooed back then, right?
Completely different.
Completely different. You know, tattooing definitely had sort of like a negative stigma. So,
for sure, it did.
You know, it wasn't exactly the most professional people that were getting tattoos. Also, like the education about tattoos out there right now is just so infinitely more than it was back then, right? Like you can go on the internet, TV. Exactly. Well, the technology, right? We have the ability to do so much more and so much better. And then, like with the internet and television, like you can just Google like, what's it like to get a tattoo? And it'll give you the whole process of,
That can go both ways though. Then you get the
There's a
person
lot
who
of
thinks they
bad
know
info.
everything about the tattoos, that they want to dictate on how you're going to like, so it can go.
You are really right. They're like, I've watched INKED Master. I know exactly.
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
everything. And it's like, okay, well, you know some
Let me
things.
just hand you this machine, you can do it yourself, I'll just guide you. Luckily, the majority of the people that went there in the Bronx were brown skin, but you would get, your like quintessential Italian dude who's like, who's this chick? I don't want it touching me, you know what I mean? And then actually when I would start doing it, then you get the guys trying to have sex with you. They go from, I don't want her touching me to let's go somewhere after, and it's like
Exactly. And then they get so angry if you don't. Like,
it's like they're doing you a favor.
Exactly. I've had guys full on like get a tattoo, ask me out, and if I don't go out with them, like tell all their friends and show up at the shop and like throw eggs on the shop or like do crazy stuff like that.
That's
Not
crazy.
even exaggerating. Like they would flip out and do crazy stuff because they're so angry and embarrassed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That would happen a lot.
I went through 2 different apprenticeships before I landed on my 3rd and final one.
Okay.
Why was that?
Because it's kind of similar vein, like my first apprenticeship was a crazy fucking like motorcycle dude in South Florida who legitimately would make you sign a contract at the beginning of your apprenticeship to say that like if you went through a full year of tattooing without getting fired or leaving, then you could have this apprenticeship for free. But if you left or were fired before those 365 days were up, you owe him $5,000.
That's a really interesting thing. Like some apprenticeships you pay for, some you earn.
I didn't have to pay. I was just like the shop slave.
I didn't pay either, but what he would do is he would fire you the day before your contract was up so he can get his $5,000. He's a piece of shit.
That does seem like a racket. See, I was the shop slave, but then also I was working for like 25%.
I didn't get paid anything in my second one at all.
Okay.
I got paid $30 a day.
Oh my God.
That's amazing. No, I worked 7 days a week at my second apprenticeship, and I would like get on the floor and like chip up dried ink off the floor. He wouldn't even let me watch him set up his machines. Really? It was terrible, and I had a nervous breakdown. I was like, I'm fucking done, like I'm gone, bye. And then I thought that was the end of my career, and then that's when my mentor came in and picked me up, and he was like, you've got potential, let's do this.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. My last
It's
shop
really
was
great that you found somebody like that.
Totally. It takes a while, and I think that a part of that had to do with me being a female too.
I was just gonna say that a lot of the times, they see that you are good, and when they realize that you're really good, they're like, this is not going down.
They don't want to teach you anything.
Yeah.
The second they realize you're good, they're like trying to cover up, right? Or, oh my God, I've had them try to sabotage me. Like I remember, I had a guy, I did an amazing tattoo on like his friend, and I came in the next day and he had like smashed my machine with a hammer. Like I'm not, he put it in a Ziploc bag, smashed it with a hammer, and left it there.
Well, at least he put it in a Ziploc bag.
I've had a guy water my inks down.
What?
I had the let's go out to dinner too, though. Okay. But mostly it was always happening before the appointment, though, and they were not showing up at all.
That makes it super uncomfortable. Like they're gonna ask you out, you say no, and then you have to tattoo them.
When they were asking for the price, for example, it was like, this is gonna be the price, and it's like, so dinner is included. I was like, no.
Oof. Oh my God.
Gone.
Worst line ever.
Yes, right? And then they were just not showing up, and that sucked. Oh. I don't know if maybe it's just that my head is like up in the clouds, or I live in a fairy tale, but everything has been so smooth with me. Like I've been so lucky. People are always so amazing with me.
That's a blessing.
Yeah, I know, right? I know, and it's just like kind of a dream. I don't know, because if you see me, it's like you may get the very wrong impression about me, but like no one got it. Like I don't know if you know what I mean, but like I understand that if you see me, you may think I'm this, and that. And like right, and then
But you were fortunate enough to have people around you that were caring.
it feels like people get straight to the core anyway. And like everyone that has been texting me, even now, or like, you know, talking to me or whatever, they just get the best side of me, and they're all so nice. They're so supportive. I just love it.
Makes me feel really good.
Yeah, it does. You seem like a really beautiful person.
Yeah, and it's also very telling of, I feel like, times changing.
Absolutely.
Too, right? Like, you're not hearing, like, our stories, I feel like you've been tattooing a lot longer than me, but they're similar, right? And then I feel like you guys have been tattooing about the same time, and it seems like you have really supportive people around you, and it makes me feel really good.
Yeah, so there's been progress.
And there's progress, and oh my God, people may never have to deal with the kind of stuff that we did again, and that's awesome.
A client came in, she was from Oklahoma, I think, and she wanted a lock, like a master lock, and she wanted it like photorealistic, really detailed, and I was like, that's my jam, let's do this. So we sat down, I didn't ask her anything, she said it was a memorial piece, and I was like, all right, cool, probably a biker, like cool, whatever. So she sits down and she's talking to her friend, and I'm just focusing on the piece, and through the conversation with her friend, I learned that this was for her fiance who had been hit by a car, hit and run. So they don't even know who the person was that hit him. They don't know anything about what happened. They just know that he was on the side of the road, like completely, you know, yeah. So after that, I was just like, I had to like hold back tears as I'm like tattooing this woman, and at the end I was like, I just have to say, like, I'm so sorry. I was like, this means a lot to me. This is probably one of the most meaningful sessions that I've ever, you know, had. And I don't know, it always strikes me really weird how we go into these things kind of just very technical. We're focusing on the stencil, how to get our lines nice and straight, nice and even shading, but you're not, I don't know, for me sometimes
It's a therapy session.
Yeah, we're like unlicensed therapists.
We're unlicensed therapists. We are, for sure. And then sometimes you kind of take it from them and you kind of hold it, because I've been so sad sometimes tattooing people when they're telling me their stories.
Totally.
You know, like you start feeling their pain, and then afterwards it's a beautiful thing that they're so grateful for the tattoo, and you're also grateful for being able to help the person. So I think it's a really cool exchange on both ends.
It almost becomes a part of their process of, you know, digesting it and sort of moving on.
And you're just such a really, like, a small piece in that, but you're doing so much good for them. And it's not even just like these stories of tragedy, but it also imbues you as a person to feel more beautiful in your own skin. And that, I think,
Very rewarding.
Yeah, totally rewarding, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. It's like sometimes we do tattoos that make people feel bad about a bad thing that happened to them in their lives, right? But also, you know, we do a lot of tattoos that, you know, maybe are covering up scars or something that make people physically feel bad. And being able to give them more confidence in their body. You know, I remember tattooing a woman on her stomach. She had some stretch marks, you know, from giving birth, and I covered them up with a tattoo. And I feel like a lot of us have probably done very similar tattoos.
But those mean so much because their confidence level.
Absolutely.
She went from wearing, you know, like, she was never confident to wear a bathing suit, and then she put on a bikini and felt great. And it was like, oh my God, that's doing so much for you as a person. It's not just a tattoo, it's a full confidence boost, which is, it feels really good to be able to do that.
No, like the black is the thing that means the most to me.
I mean, it's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard to understand, but I just don't feel I didn't feel comfy before.
Okay.
And so like covering myself this way just make me feel better, even if I got the opposite like effect. Like what I wanted, it was like a little bit like erase. I don't know what I look like. I don't know. I would just want to be more like in the shadow. Let's see. But I got people to look at me much more now.
Yes. Well, you definitely stand out, but you're beautiful, so.
Yeah, but actually, yes, it's like it changed my life completely. I feel so much comfortable now. I still have to finish my legs. I'm working on that. It's not that much left. But I can tell you, I'm not wearing shorts or skirts until it's done because I really don't feel comfy.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. I guess it's something psychological.
No, it's the same for us as it is with the clients that walk in. If we're not comfortable, we're just not comfortable.
Yes. So it's just, all of it to me is just so precious. Like, I wouldn't change a thing.
I wish I could say that.
I know,
I
me
would
too.
change everything. I've actually gotten a lot of laser tattoo removal. I'm slowly.
I don't know too much about that, and I was always scared because of my color. Like I've had a couple people come back that are like my color, and it never looks good. They're always there's always a bunch of discoloration.
Really?
Wow.
I guess if
So I'm scared.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, it like how?
Like vitiligo almost, it looks like.
Really?
Wow, it comes back like not pigmented.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know enough about that, but I'd love to know more about that. Really, that's so interesting. I mean, I guess in theory, if you're planning, because like when I get my tattoos lasered, I just get them light enough to get covered up. It's like I don't want to actually remove them. So I guess if you're just going to get tattooed over again, it wouldn't matter. But
Yeah, it wouldn't
also
matter.
is like alarming slightly. Like I would have never even thought that was a thing.
So when you had first started out, were you expected to dress any type of way specifically?
Absolutely.
Like because you're a female, like bustier, top, titties out.
Absolutely. When I started tattooing, I was 18, but I looked like I was 14 years old, and I was a total tomboy. I wear no makeup. I wore like a bandana around my head, and I don't know.
I had the Halle Berry cut. You couldn't tell me anything. Like I had the back of my head shaved, and I wore like a Carhartt jacket. That's when Janko jeans. Like
Exactly, Janko's. Like that's where I was at too, and I literally had the guy that owned the first shop I worked at pull me aside and have a talk with me that was like, you cannot look like this. Like you have to look more approachable for people coming in. But I thought I looked nice, but by his terms
we were
of
too rough
approachable-
probably around the edges. Nobody
Exactly. So they wanted me to button it up a little bit, wear a little makeup, dress a little nicer. You know, you're the girl. We want the guys to want to get tattooed by you. And it's like, all right, now I know why I'm here.
Well, at first I thought, oh, that's a good idea. I'll get people to want to get tattooed by me. And then I realized, wait a minute. They want to have sex with me.
Yeah, and you're wondering why they get so mad when you won't go on a date with them. It's like, it looks like we're advertising that, but we're not. But when you're young and you're around a bunch of people that are advising you, these are the people you're looking up to,
and
that's
think,
what they're telling you. It was also a different time period. You're like, because everybody around you is probably saying similar stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is just how it is, and you don't realize till you're like way later. Like now I'm like, what the hell?
Well, from back then to now, I realized just how sexist the world was. It was, wow.
You could never get away with the things that happened back then. Like people would go to jail, like everybody would be ousting it on the internet. You know, obviously that wasn't a thing either. You couldn't just call people out or tell people about it, you know? Oh my God, different time. Anyway, how was your experience? Did you feel?
Well, like I dress pretty tomboyish. Like how I look now is how I look every day, pretty much, you know, a little less makeup, but I like that, you know, I like being able to go into work and be myself. But when I was first starting out, I was also advised, you know, like, hey, you should wear a lot more makeup. You should, you know, straighten your hair. You should lose weight. And I'm just like, I'm not trying to fuck anybody. I'm trying to tattoo, and that has nothing to do with how I look, you know? And also, you know, I still hold that to this day, you know? Like I don't post very many photos on Instagram because it doesn't matter what I look like. It matters what I do on people's skin. That's the only reason why they should be coming into the shop to get work by me. And, you know, I feel like for you two specifically, like that, I feel like if you had tried to present yourself as that way back when you first started, you would not have a career.
No, I think you're right.
Oh, of course.
I absolutely think you're right.
That makes me feel like, it makes me feel both honored that we've come this far as an industry, as a society even, but it also makes me feel really bad that you guys had to go through that, so.
You know what though? I feel like we were like in a sense pioneers, like we went through the ringer.
Yeah, and it took people going through that in order for it to change.
And I'm cool with that. Yeah. I'm definitely cool with that. From the beginning till now, there's been a tremendous amount of progress. So, and it's only gonna get better.
You have an all-women shop.
We have had guys that work there, and we have one guy who works there now. So it's like not like women only, right? Like we're welcoming anybody that wants to come work there, but it is very heavily a female studio. I think just because it attracts a lot of women, it's a very comfortable studio in that way. For me personally, you know, I've worked at maybe like 12 or 13 different tattoo studios over my career, and I never worked with women, not once.
Wow.
Yeah, you're right. The only women I've worked with are the ones I've hired.
I want to create a comfortable space. I think I'm a relatively comfortable person. Like I'm not like an aggressive, pushy person. So I think that's probably why females are attracted to coming to work with me, because it is like a safe and cool and comfortable environment. And it makes me feel really good that I can offer that to people, because that wasn't an option for me. And maybe that's not for everybody, and that's totally okay. But it makes me happy to be able to do that.
Yeah, I've been working with lots of women. Yes, absolutely. And yeah, about the way what you were talking about earlier, like the way to dress or whatever. I remember when I started, my career has been quite fast anyway. So when I started like having a following or whatever, I've heard a lot, yeah, that's easy for you because you've got boobs and butt. And I was like,
we've all heard that.
Yeah, right. I hated it because like I was putting so much effort in what I was doing, and I was pushing so hard. Like I just want to cover everything I have, so I just don't want to show. And so that what made me want to cover even more. Like for a while, I didn't even want to publish my face on social media because I didn't want to hear that. You know, I was just so pissed.
Yeah, you have every right to
Absolutely.
be. So annoying.
Yeah, especially because I was really not doing it. I was just pushing and pushing my my skills. I don't know, like
Yeah, absolutely. Imagine if you were trying. You get what I mean? Like people say that to me, like I hardly ever dress up. I'm sure you'd know it if I was dressed up.
I know that you guys were talking about how when you started out things were a little, you know, a lot crazier, but I would say that like now, would you say that the relationship between men and women in the industry has become better over time?
I think with some people. I don't think with every, you know, I think I've worked at a lot of different tattoo shops, and I have a lot of like friends in the industry, and some of them have drastically different experiences than I do. I feel really lucky to have the shop that I have filled with a lot of like men and women that coexist in a beautiful way, right? But I've definitely been to shops and have heard stories from friends that it's not that way everywhere yet.
Sure.
You know, so I think that personally, from my perspective, I think that there has been leaps and bounds of change between the relationships of men and women in the industry. I think it's still in progress, and I think it's different depending on where you're at in the world, what, you know, kind of tattooing we're talking about. You know, there's definitely, we were talking earlier about clicks in tattooing.
Oh my God, they're very clicky.
So it depends on what kind of clicks we're talking about here, you know, so that's how I feel. It's a work in progress.
It's definitely grown. There's not so many grumpy guys. Now you get, I mean, like I said earlier though, a lot of the people that have been super supportive of me was men.
Sure.
As, you know,
I've had a lot of supportive.
I've had a lot of supportive men in my life, especially when it comes to tattooing, and I've had like the complete opposite, you know, like the females kind of like standoffish.
Sure.
But with everything, things change.
And I agree with that as well. I think that, you know, it's more of it's more symptomatic of a social thing than it is just within our industry.
I agree with that completely.
And I think that the way that everybody's been talking very openly about their experiences from all walks of life, I think that it really does show the widespread, like, kind of, I don't know, this whole spectrum of like change that's going on. I think the internet can be used for a lot of awful things, but I also think that it could be used for a lot of good. And one of those things is, you know, kind of vocalizing how, you know, we are strong professional women, and, you know, we won't take shit. And there are so many people that respond really well to that. And I think the more we talk about those things, the more it will be accepted, and it will be, you know, not stigmatized. And I'm all for it. I think it's great. So. In my experience in the industry, and I would actually go as far as to say that this is like widespread in society, but if you're a woman that dresses up for your job, you get accused of using your sexual wiles to attract, you know, business. But if you don't, then you're considered sloppy. Like, there's no real winning, but like specifically in our industry, have you guys faced that? Like, where you do maybe dress up and like people are like, oh, she's just doing it because she's pretty, or she's only famous because she's pretty, or she only gets business because she's pretty, you know?
I actually don't listen to anybody. I have like blockers. I don't read anything online. I focus on my kids and my job.
I agree.
I don't, because if I did, I'd probably be jumping off a bridge somewhere. Like you listen to people and all the horrible things they say online. You can't pay any attention to that. It's all negative.
I did when I first started doing television. I was always really active on social media, even before that, just because I don't know. I was like a MySpace.
No, I followed you. Yeah, yeah, you were good. She had a good page.
So when I started doing TV, I wasn't mentally prepared at all for the fact that suddenly I would be broadcast to like millions of people, and that there was so many people that were so lovely and were
And then
complimenting me.
the flip side.
It wouldn't matter. There could be 100 nice comments. It only took that one person to be like, "You're ugly. You're a slut. People only like you because you're a girl. Like you can't tattoo." Things like that, right? And they stick with you. And I had to do the same thing for a long time. I couldn't look at it because it was so devastating.
They could do a lot, but they can't take away your work.
Exactly. Absolutely. It's like ingrained in my brain to the point where I remember, like I said, first doing TV and people are attacking you. People were attacking the way that I spoke. I had like a little bit of an accent from where I was from in Philly. And I would say the word drawing, right? You're drawing, but I said drawing.
Love it.
Right? People attacked the shit out of me on the internet. It was crazy, like hundreds and hundreds of people. And I found myself like practicing talking without my accent because I was so insecure about it. And it can really, that negativity can really sink in and get to you. Now I don't give a shit. Like now I'm confident, I don't care, and I'm just like whatever. But
it does suck,
that was a vulnerable time in my life, you know? So
because you need the internet. You need it for your business, and at the same time, you don't want to go on it.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a
Terrifying.
double-edged. Yeah, it's terrifying. It is.
I am pretty confident too. Like it doesn't really affect me. Like I know what I'm doing, but still, I'm super sensitive. So I just want to make it right. Like
Yeah. But you know what? You can't please everybody. I learned that you can't please everybody. You just gotta.
and you have to accept it.
You gotta accept it.
When that one person doesn't like you, sometimes it has nothing to do with you.
It never does. It has to do with them. It's like it's that.
It's hard to learn that lesson, I feel like.
Unless I know the person, then I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, then you curse them out.
That's like the Dita Von Teese saying, which is, you could be the sweetest, most luscious peach in the world, and there's still going to be somebody that doesn't like a peach.
Such a good saying. It's so true.
So Jasmine, what advice you have for like a new artist like me?
Well, you guys are pretty good now. You guys have social media. I would think to just stay true to yourself. Always stay true to yourself and stick to your art and not what's going on in the world. Like you have to stick to yourself because when you get mixed up in cliques, especially with tattooing, it starts to go downhill.
I think that the best advice I could give somebody is similar to what Jasmine said, where, stay true to yourself. I think it's always really important to constantly be focused on your artwork and tattooing and constantly be striving to improve. Because I'd say in my experience, when I notice artists sort of get into a niche of like something that they love to do, right? Which is really cool for people to have a really particular style, and that's the thing that people come to them for. Eventually, that goes out of fashion, okay? Eventually, there's gonna be a time where that is not cool anymore. I've been here to see it happen. I've seen tattoo artists be super amazing and they're on top, and then that's not cool anymore.
But then they kind of plateau off that because they're so stuck.
Because they stick in it, and it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have like your focus and your specialty in that, but it means that while you're doing that, constantly try new styles, new techniques, keep up on new technology so that you can evolve with the time, so that you stay relevant and stay making money long past the fad.
You always try to learn. I feel like when you feel like you don't have to learn, you should stop.
Absolutely.
When you think you're the best.
When you think you should stop, because there's always room for improvement.
Always.
Always.
I can give advice and you can give advice about what it was like to tattoo then, right? But you guys are in the now. And if you were to give advice to somebody about getting into tattooing now, like what would you tell them?
To me, the first thing, absolutely, is just to respect it. Because right now it's such an easy money, everyone is doing, it's easy to start, it's easy to find clientele, and it's cool. So like kids, like they just, you know what, I'm gonna be a tattoo artist. And they just get other people's tattoo and copy them and just do whatever crappy thing that just don't care. And that's awful. Like, whoever wants to start, he has to respect the job, the person. Like, it's gonna stay forever. It's gonna be meaningful for that person. And it cannot be something just like that random. And they just have to love it and respect it.
I would also like to add into it that because it is such a cool, you know, sort of like very popular thing to get a tattoo nowadays, people like glamorize it. Like, you know, they think that it's this really glamorous sort of thing where they can just jump in, make a shit ton of cash and then bounce out, and that's not how that works. You know, I feel like if you're gonna get into this industry, it should be because you really, really love it. You really wanna go out there and make a difference for people. You wanna do it because you wanna make these people happy, not just because of your own ego. And I feel like that's something that I've been seeing a lot of with new people, you know, reaching out to me and asking me specifically, you know, like, hey, how'd you get into this? You know, what can I do to get into this? You know, I have a whole kit that I just bought off of eBay for $10, you know, can you give me some tips? And I'm like, nah, bro.
That happens so much.
It's so easy to do now.
This is a lifestyle. This isn't my job. This is my life.
Exactly. I care so much about this that, like,
you get the people that come in. I don't mean to cut you off, but they'll be like, "Oh, I used to do that on the weekends." It's like, "Oh, thanks, thanks so much for just downplaying my whole entire life." Like, this is something that's life changing. That you have to like go. You're an artist. You do art. That's all day. That's in my brain while I'm sleeping, when I wake up, everything.
It takes that level of passion to also be good at it.
Yeah, you're right.
It does, especially in like this world where it is very popular. It's cool and it's so competitive now.
And so easy, like you were saying. You go order on Wish, get your whole thing for like $30.
The additional point of that is that, like, some people think that they could just get this kit and then charge, you know, fucking $400 for like a tattoo this big from their homies, and then they think that they can just,
and then they go to you and me to cover.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they think that they can just jump into a really great shop and just, like, you know, start churning out these great tattoos with no forethought into the amount of like dedication that it takes to do that. And I would tell them straight up all of that, you know, like, think about how many hours you're going to spend doing all these things, how much time you're going to invest learning all these skills, and also how much time you're going to invest in the craft just preparing night after night over and over again. You're not going to have a social life. Like, there's no such thing.
I tell my daughter that. She's going to be 15 at the end of the month, and this summer she's going to start an apprenticeship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
I'm like super excited. She's excited too. She doesn't realize how much she's not gonna like it in the beginning.
Hey, but she's got you. That's awesome.
Yeah. But I want her to. I was like, well, you know, because I have 3 kids. I'm wondering which one of you is going to be doing this.
Yeah, I need to pass this on.
At least one, and I didn't expect it to be her, but she's really good at drawing, and she likes it, and she's always doing it. So why not? We're gonna see.
That's so cool.
You know, I want her to know how I started off and how hard it was, and I want her to understand that there's been so much progression that she could be great, and she'll be taken
You're already
serious.
starting off so high.
Exactly.
If I started here and I can get here, imagine where you can get starting.
Yeah, and she'll be taken seriously as opposed, you know, back then you know, you're sitting there starving artist. Nobody took that serious. Now they take it very serious. Where this is an actual career. Oh my God, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't a job before.
No, it wasn't.
Nobody took you seriously.
Nobody took it serious.
Yeah.
I would like, especially after this conversation about you, like that I heard you talking, and I mean, I didn't know. It's the first time I hear like stories as good as yours. I wish I could be like you. Like, I wish I could make, I mean, I'm not struggling at all. My career has been very smooth. I'm super lucky, I know, but I hope that anyway, in my smoothness and happiness, I can just inspire someone, I don't know, to be like, I want to be like her. Or
That's what I want my legacy to be. Like, we were pioneers in the industry, and that people will look up to us like, wow, back then they were able to do this and accomplish that, you know.
With all like adversity and
Exactly.
going against it, and hopefully it helped the industry move in a very positive direction that is able to help people, which I feel like it already is, which is really cool.
I like kind of thinking of it as a journey where I'm touching base on different people and like having that moment with them and actually like cultivating a relationship in that time. That's not forced, that's not anything. It's just genuine, you know, hey, how's it going? All right, let's do this tattoo, you know, like I hope, like give them a pleasant experience and then hopefully you'll see them again. And in those people, I think that if there was a legacy to leave behind, it would be that they had a pleasant experience and that maybe we changed their minds that not all tattoo shops are full of rough and tumble people and that there is some semblance of respect and, you know, care that goes into it. And I think that that's what I would like to leave behind.